All right, hello everyone. If you're all having a good Saturday night, let me swap around on my webcam here. All right, so who else is nerdy enough to be sitting here on a Saturday night at 9:38 p.m. on YouTube? I hope I have some friends out there because I am I've had a long, busy week. I just kind of want to hang out. I'm gonna take off my glasses. I always get chewed out for that in the comments. I can see they're reflecting in the computer screen already. So I will sit here for a sec and let a few of you guys start to join in, and maybe we can have a chat about some photography stuff. We'll talk about some Fuji gear, of course, maybe some filter talk. I'm getting a lot of questions, so I always like to just hop on every once in a while and just simply hang out. I like hanging out sometimes. It doesn't always have to be like a formal get-together between us, right? We can just hang out. You guys are like my favorite 9,000 people. Justin Hobgood, what's up, man? Mark Hartman, I haven't talked to you in a while, Mark. I used to catch my streams all the time, and I follow you on Instagram. I hope you've been doing well. You've been taking some awesome photos lately. It is 2:40 a.m. here. Wow. So where are you from? 2:40 a.m. Warren says hi. What's up, Warren? Wow. Well, I feel special that you're watching me at 2:40 in the morning. You should probably be sleeping. So what's been going on, guys? You've had a good week. Anybody taken some interesting photos at any particularly interesting places? Have you tried the GRD50 yet? What is the GRD50? I'm assuming I have not. If you're talking about the GFX50 or the D850, I have not. Mark Hartman says Cabela's bought by Bass Pro for $4.5 billion. Really? When did that happen? Wow. Well, I guess I should take this off. The Cabela's brand is probably gone. Or maybe I should sell it on eBay. You're in the UK. Oh, okay, so it's 2:40 a.m. in the UK. Warren says you meant GFX. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. No, I have not tried the GFX yet. However, I would love to. I might rent one soon, and I would definitely love to buy one. I just don't really want to spend the money on that right now. I don't really have that much money to just let go on a camera and then buy the lenses as well. It's like a $15,000 investment if you want to get the lenses with it. I just don't really have that right now since I'm so invested into the Nikon and Fuji system. And if I needed it, I would make the investment. But I just don't need it. It's just something I really want because it's a very, very cool camera. And it's got a ridiculously high megapixel count for a medium format, or inside of a medium format sensor, inside of a small, nice mirrorless body. So I definitely want the camera. I just don't think I'm at the point where I really can justify that price right now. Let's see. Peter says, my first time here. I'm in Iceland. Looking forward to this. Oh, wow. Cool. Well, welcome, Peter. You're living in one of my dream places to visit one day. The whole reason I want to go to Iceland is to actually visit some of the ice caves there and to photograph a lot of the waterfalls, like Godafoss, Alderfoss. There's quite a few other waterfalls there that I want to photograph. Justin says, wish I could stick around in the middle of a cardiac ICU exam right now. Take care. Wow. Well, Justin, yeah, you should probably get back to that exam. Thanks for joining in, man. Have a good night. A cardiac ICU exam. Gosh. Crazy. I feel special again. People are watching me at 2:40 in the morning and in the middle of an exam. All right, let's see what's going on here. So I went out to the lake yesterday. I've updated. So my Fuji XT-2 does have the latest firmware. There's another firmware, a big firmware release coming in November, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think it's November. Peter says, been there, done that. Yeah, I guess since you live in Iceland, that's just regular old stuff to you. I would love to go there one day. So if I'm there, I'll look you up. I'll let you know when I'm going. But yeah, I went out to the lake yesterday with my Fuji XT-2 with the 16-55 2.8 lens. And I tried I put it in video mode and tried some like vlogging stuff for the first time since the past couple of firmware updates. And it has gotten so good at tracking the face during video. The autofocus tracking during video is like worlds better than it was. That was one of the only things that was kind of making Sony users not so keen on the Fuji stuff for video, because apparently Sony mirrorless cameras, I guess, have really good face tracking for video. This thing really impressed me. I was like walking in zigzags and running up close and quickly running back away, and it was just tracking. I mean, I don't even think it lost focus once, and that was in 4K video. So I'll probably post some of those clips later on YouTube just so you guys can see the test. But wow, I was really impressed by that. I mean, it's a great vlogging camera. If you get this in like the 10-24 lens with the image stabilization, and make a killer vlogging setup. Let's see. Chad says, do you believe the rumors about pro Nikon mirrorless coming soon? So Nikon made a statement a while back that they are going to focus on mirrorless technology. I don't necessarily know if it's coming soon. It very well could, but I don't know if that's given them enough time to work on that, or maybe they've been working on it, under our noses for years and we just don't know. So I don't know. I mean, I definitely believe it's going to happen at some point, but I don't know what the latest rumors are on specs or anything. But I don't know if it's going to come soon or not. I'm not quite sure on that, because they just released the D850, and it's actually been a huge success. It's going to be, it's a huge release, so it's not like they have to just spit the D850 out and then do another mirrorless release to kind of save their business. It seems like the D850, between the D850 and the D500, that's probably going to single-handedly saves some of Nikon's financial issues. It's going to help them a lot for sure, because they've sold a ton of D500s, and I'm sure they're selling a ton of D850s from what I've heard. So I think Nikon is doing better. Now, they're not magically saved. They're not out of the hole yet, in my opinion, but they're definitely getting there. However, I wish the D850, I wish it would have been more of a groundbreaking release. It's a fantastic camera. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's more of a evolutionary upgrade instead of a revolutionary upgrade. So yeah, I do believe the mirrorless is coming for sure. Just don't know when. I have no connections on the back end of Nikon. I don't really know. I mean, I have a friend that's a Nikon rep, but according to him, they don't get any of that kind of information. Or maybe he's lying to me and he knows everything. I don't know. Who knows? Let's see. Gerant, is that how you pronounce your name? Is it Gerant or Gerant? I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. It says, I'm debating dropping my Canon gear and moving to Fuji. I have a 70D, a 6D, along with approximately 8 lenses. I also have the XT-20 and love it. Thinking either the 5D Mark IV or the XT-2. Any advice? That's a tough one, because you have, what did you say, 8 lenses. So that's what makes it tough, is that if you're already that invested in glass, that's what makes it much harder for someone to jump ship and move to another brand, because you already have a lot of Canon glass. And Canon glass is really good. If you have L lenses, a lot of their L lenses are actually really good. However, I think the 5D Mark IV has just been killed and destroyed by the Nikon D850. Even the XT2 has better 4K video and a better codec, and pretty much, in my opinion, pretty much everything better than the 5D Mark IV. The 5D Mark IV has Canon's like dual pixel autofocus, which in my opinion is what is still kind of keeping Canon alive, is their dual pixel autofocus. But if you're just asking me straight up, I would probably say, and I don't rarely say this, I would just say stick with what you have, because you have 8 lenses. If it's L lenses, that's a lot of money to try and go and sell all those lenses and get, I mean, you're probably not going to make anywhere near back what you paid for the lenses. I would say, yeah, you said, yep, mostly L series glass. Yeah. So if it's all L series glass, I would say just stick with Canon. Whether it's the 5D Mark IV or you buy a 5D Mark III. The 5D Mark III is also really good, honestly. It just depends on what kind of stuff you shoot. But yeah, I would probably, if I were in your position, here's what I would do. I would stick with Canon for now, and then I would just kind of slowly ease yourself into the Fuji system. I wouldn't just sell all your Canon stuff, lose a bunch of money, and go into Fuji. Let's stick with Canon, in my opinion. Then I would say get an XT2 eventually, and then maybe like buy, I don't know, like 1 or 2 lenses a year for it and see how you like it. Kind of slowly build a second kit. That's what I did. I just kind of slowly built secondary kits to see if I liked them, and then I just went all in. And I never really jumped ship away from Nikon because I love my Nikon stuff. But I do mostly use my Fuji gear now, and I love it. I love this is the XT2 with the 16-55 2.8. This is a deadly combo. It is super sharp lens. Obviously, the camera is beautiful, and I just got my new Kirk Photo L bracket in, which is awesome too. So because of this L bracket, I actually stopped using the battery grip for a while because I forgot how small the camera is without the grip. It's actually quite nice. It's weird. When I took the grip off, I was just like, what is this camera? It's so tiny and awesome. So I've kind of kept it without the grip for a while because it's just so nice. It's ergonomically very pleasing. And I have pretty big hands, and it fits in my hands really nice. Let's see. I already have the 35 f2, the 16-55, and the 16. Oh, wow. Well, you're already like halfway into the kit. Well, then I would just say, I mean, stick with Canon and then just buy yourself an XT2 eventually, and you already have a really killer kit going on. Then you can have Canon and Fuji, and you have the best of both worlds. I still tell people this. If you're on the fence and you're kind of wondering whether you should go Nikon or Fuji or Canon or Fuji or whatever, don't sell all your DSLR stuff until you really invest in Fuji and get to know it and see if you like it or not. Because I already know, like, I love Fujifilm, but if I got rid of my Nikon stuff and I didn't have it accessible, I would be a very sad person. I would go into probably like a state of depression because I love my Nikon stuff. I mean, I do. I still shoot with my D810. I love my D70-200. I love my Nikon glass. I just love my Nikon stuff. This is just a fun secondary kit for me to get into, and it produces fantastic images. And, you know, I've tried lots of mirrorless kits in the past. I've tried Sony. I tried Olympus for a very brief time, and this just stuck with me. I just love the Fuji stuff. So, yeah, I think you might regret selling all your DSLR stuff. So get the XT2 eventually, since you already have those lenses. See how you like it, and if you really do, if it's like life-changing for you, then get rid of your Canon stuff and go all in with Fuji. I would just say just ask yourself if you can live without your Canon stuff, and if you can, go for it. The Norkel Shooter says, when you process your RAWs from your Fujifilm X-T2, do you use ON1 software or Lightroom? With the Fuji camera, I use ON1. Use ON1 or Pictorial. And I used Capture One for a while, but I just like Capture One, and I've mentioned this a million times. If you guys want the absolute best RAW processor for Fujifilm files, it's Capture One. Capture One is the best, hands down. It renders the sharpest image. The sucky part about that is that Capture One contrast tool, the vibrance, the highlight recovery, the shadow recovery, all that kind of sucks, in my opinion, on Fuji files. It's just not very good. So while it processes it out of the camera as a really sharp, nice file, it doesn't really, once you're in there, all the other tools, just the basic sliders, don't really do anything good to it. It kind of ruins everything. So that's why I went with ON1, because ON1 is almost as good. There's like a hair difference. ON1 is almost as good as Capture One when it comes to processing Fuji files. But ON1 has a million different tools within the software, and all of them do very good things to Fuji files. They have killer presets. They have filters, layers. You can do gradient masks. It's almost like a mini version of Photoshop built into ON1. So if you're trying to decide, I would just go with ON1. You can experiment with the free trial of all of them, and you can just decide for yourself. But I use ON1 when it comes to my Fujifilm files. Now Lightroom still does a good job at with my Nikon D810 files. Never had a problem with it. It's terrible at sharpening them. It's terrible at sharpening any file. I hate Lightroom sharpening. It's just it's gross. It's almost like taking all these sharp, really nice, bright, vibrant pixels, and then you crank the Lightroom sharpening up, and it just kind of smushes everything. It almost like turns it into like an oil painting. It's really gross. So yeah, I would say ON1 for if you're just trying to decide. But again, they all have free trials. Go and try ON1, Capture One. Pictorial is a great option, especially for a price. And they all handle them a little bit differently. That's the good thing and bad thing about RAW processors, is that they all handle the Fujifilm files, Nikon, Canon, Sony files. Every RAW processor handles them just a little bit differently, and you just have to find the one that you like. That's why it's so difficult giving people advice about editing and raw processing in general, because everyone has a very different style. So that's why when I actually recently made a landscape photography post-processing course with over 10 hours of video, and I tried to make it just very educational and kind of showing the principle behind the tools that I use, and not so much showing you exactly what percentage of each tool and exactly what you should do with the tool, because that's where the creativity comes in. I just want to show you where the tools are and how to access them, and then you can choose what you want to do with them. Which, by the way, if you guys haven't checked that out yet, check out my new course. It is out. It has 2 more days. It's 2 more days at the sale price, which is $69. And I go through, it's 10 hours of post-processing footage. It's all about blending and color and contrast and the proper way to sharpen. It covers my entire workflow from start to finish. So check that out if you're interested. I think you're really going to like it. Let's see what's going on in the live chat here. Chad says, it's 10 years in the future and your kid wants a first camera. Inexpensive point and shoots are dead. Do you get them mirrorless or a baby DSLR? Let's say mirrorless, because 10 years into the future, it's probably going to be all mirrorless. So I would say mirrorless. DSLRs are probably going to be a thing of the past in the next 10 years, unless something happens that makes them revolutionary again. But if I still have my D810 in 10 years, because I always tell people the only way you can get my D810 from me is if you pry it out of my cold dead hands. If I still have that, I'll probably just give my kid the D810, because I'll already have it. It'll just be my old D810, and then it'll be just like a cool dad moment to just pass that D810 down to the next generation. So if I have my D810, which I probably will, I'll give my daughter that. And if not, then I'll go with mirrorless. I'll go with like the Fuji XT-2 or whatever is out by then. I've been getting so many emails of people like begging me for an answer as to that's hilarious. I just got the comment. I was just about to say I've been getting so many emails of people wondering why I haven't bought the D850, and I just saw Warren's comment came in. Do you plan to get a D850? I do not, and there's so many, like a ton of people are just so confused by this, and they think that I think it's like a horrible camera. It's not the case at all. I think it's a wonderful camera. It's fantastic. It can do landscape, and it can do wildlife and action and all that good stuff. How well it can do that stuff, I don't know, because I haven't had it in my hands. But I was expecting it, let's just say this, I was expecting it to be something different, and it wasn't what I wanted, so I don't really need it. I can get very similar results out of my D810 for what I use it for, which is just tripod, landscape, some portraits here and there, and I'm good. I don't need a 10 megapixel bump or whatever it was. It's 36 megapixels is easily good enough as it is. So I don't need more pixels, but yeah, I just don't plan to get one right now. Who knows? That could change in the future. I don't know, but as of right now, I am more than happy with my D810 and my XT2 and my XT1. The next camera purchase I plan on making, which will probably be a while from now, is the Fujifilm GFX. And by the time I get it, it'll probably be on iteration number 2, I would imagine. Yeah, that's probably the next. I think if I'm going to make another camera purchase, it's probably going to be medium format. That would be my guess. Unless I get, I've kind of been looking for just like a small little travel camera. I've been looking at the Sony RX100 Mark V. Those are actually really cool little cameras, the RX100 series. Let's see. Peter says, I have a Sony a7R and only one lens, the Sony Zeiss FE 24-70. Always just worked with one lens and depended on being as creative as I can with it. Have been contemplating getting another lens. Any advice? Yeah, if you already have the 24-70, Peter, I would say, well, what do you shoot? Do you shoot landscape or do you shoot portrait, events, or whatever? Because I would say look at the new wide angle, the G Master wide angle they came out with, or you can, if you want like a prime lens, I owned the A7R Mark II for a while, and I was really happy with the Sony Zeiss 55mm prime, the f1.8. That was actually a really cool lens. It was a great bokeh on that lens. Warren says, do you feel this is... Oh, another typo. Do you tell this is Nikon's first attempt at mirrorless cameras since the D850 has mirrorless features? I don't know. Again, I don't really know enough about Nikon's thinking to know what they're thinking about, experimenting and kind of putting their toe in the water of kind of dabbing into mirrorless or seeing what features work or don't work. I mean, obviously they've been experimenting on stuff for a while, like those Nikon DL cameras that just didn't work out. They never even let them go to market. I mean, they pulled those right off the line. So, I don't know. I've been confused with Nikon for a while as far as their thought process, so I can't really answer any questions about that. I just don't know. Again, I hope there's a mirrorless coming. I don't know when. I don't know what the specs would be, but I definitely would be willing to see what they're going to put out for sure. Because if they put out something great, then I'll get that instead of a medium format. We'll see. Of course, I like gear to an extent, but I would much rather be using my gear than drooling over other gear. Because I already have really good stuff. So there's just no point for me to just sit here at my computer all day and, just typing in forums and figuring out on rumor sites what's coming next. It's fun to do that sometimes, but I have great stuff right now. So I don't really need to, I'm not at a point where I need to look for anything new to add to my bag, at least camera-wise. What I have been looking at is some new clothing for outdoor weather. I got some really great hiking pants that are they have reinforced knees and like a reinforced butt that's waterproof, and you can't rip through it. So I got some of that. I've been looking at a kayak so I can kind of be more mobile with my photography. So I've been looking at that kind of stuff, but I've been looking at camera gear for a little bit here. I just don't really need anything right now. Peter says landscape. Okay, if you do landscape and you want another Sony lens, take a look. Let me hop over here. Let me see what it is. Take a look at the G Master wide angle lens. I think it's like a, let's see, Sony G Master wide angle. I don't know the exact focal length. I would imagine it's somewhere like if it's 16 to 35 or like an 8 to 16. I don't remember what it is. Let me see. Okay, so it looks like it's a Sony G Master 16 to 35 2.8. I heard recently and read reviews that this lens has very little distortion, and I heard that it was very good. The image quality was good. I heard it was like sharp corner to corner, which is rare for a wide-angle lens. I would look into that if you're willing to shell out the money for that. I believe that would be a really good lens for landscape, especially since you live in Iceland and there's probably a lot of wide landscape possibilities there. Let's see here. Andrea says, will you buy the new Fuji wide-angle 8 to 16 2.8? More than likely, yes. I'm looking, I will look at the new 8 to 16, and I'll also look at the 80mm macro for Fuji. That looks like it's going to be awesome. Let's see. Warren says, drone. Yep, I already have a drone. I have a Phantom, I think I have a Phantom 3 Professional, maybe a Phantom 4. I think it's a Phantom 3 Professional. And I don't do a ton of drone work. It's mainly just to like film myself on vlogs to add just better production value. And a lot of times I use it for scouting. So that's kind of the most important thing. If I'm hiking somewhere new and I need to see where I am on a map, or I'm a little lost, I'll just take the drone up and get an aerial view of exactly where the trail is that I need to be. That's kind of what it's most important for, is the just for scouting. It's really good for scouting locations. But yeah, I already have a drone, so I'm not looking at a lot of camera gear right now as far as what I need. I mean, of course I read about it and I keep myself up to date on the news so I can give you guys my thoughts and stuff. But for me personally, I don't think I really need anything right now. Let's see. Chad says, when Nikon does go mirrorless, do you think they'll update the lens mounts like Canon did with the M series, or will it still be an F mount or will the F mount live on forever? That's a good question. I don't know. There's been a lot of talk about that because a lot of people are saying that they would freak out if they changed the F mount. Canon did change theirs to the M mount, and then they with a lot of their kits with the EOS M cameras, that they would include like an M mount to EF mount adapter. I hope Nikon doesn't do that. I mean, if you want my opinion, I hope they just keep it an F mount, because when they go mirrorless, I hope they're just going to make it full frame and not APS-C. They'll just, hopefully they'll throw some stuff from the D850 into it and make it like just an awesome all-in-one mirror. They might even go medium format. Again, I haven't heard that anywhere. There's no rumors. That would be awesome if they went mirrorless medium format. So if that's the case, obviously they would change the lens mount. But I don't know. If they stay full frame, I would hope they just keep it an F mount. That would be the smartest thing to do, in my opinion. The Norcal Shooter says, okay, thanks. I sold my Canon 5D Mark II with a 24-105 lens and bought a Fujifilm X-T2 with the power booster and a 35 f2. Still playing with it. Future lens is the 16-55 2.8. Awesome. You have a good setup then. So you have the battery grip. I have the 35 f2 as well. That's a razor sharp lens, by the way. The 35 f2 is just razor sharp. It's crazy. I use that. That lens is my favorite lens to take with me on a day trip when I take my daughter out to just take some photos of her. Gosh, like every time I'll focus on the eye and it is just tack sharp. I can zoom in at 2:1 in Lightroom on a Fujifilm file, and it's even good in Lightroom. That's how you know it's so good. And then you take it to On1 or Capture One or Pictorial, and it's even more tack sharp. Which, by the way, that brings up another point of Lightroom and On1 and all these other software. So I still use Lightroom to catalog everything. So my workflow is I'll go out, I'll shoot with my X-T2 for a day, and then I'll pop my card out and I'll put it in Lightroom, and I'll actually import everything through Lightroom, and I'll let Lightroom catalog it, and I'll name and date it, and I'll plug in my metadata and my tags, and I'll do everything in Lightroom, and then I just simply open up On1, and that folder is already in On1 because I've already told On1 what folder to point to inside the software. So Lightroom is still one of the best for cataloging. It's just great for that. So I still catalog everything there, and then I just simply open up On1, and it's all been done for me in Lightroom, the naming and the dating and the location of the file and all that. So yeah, I still use Lightroom quite a bit. I just, specifically for Fujifilm, I like On1 Photo Raw a lot. And I use On1 for all of my camera files when it comes to a plugin in Photoshop, because On1 has like some of the best plugins for presets and filters. Any kind of a sunset photo, On1 is always used as a plugin. It's fantastic, actually. There's one specific preset under their landscape category. I think it's called Sun Glow Natural or Sun Glow Dark or something like that. And it is just, I don't know what it does. You just click it, and it's almost like a one-button fix for the whole photo. It's fantastic. Let's see. Let me catch up here. John says, you never talk about the Fuji 18-135. I find it a good everyday all-around lens. Yeah, it is a very good all-around lens. The reason I never talk about it is just because I never decided to purchase it because I got the 18-55 kit lens with mine. Just because I wanted a smaller lens with it at first when I was just kind of, getting into the Fuji system. And the 18-135 was kind of big and girthy like this 16-55 lens. And when I first got the Fuji camera, I was like, well, this is going to be like my travel kit, so I need to keep it lightweight and whatever. And then when I saw how killer this camera was, then I started getting, every lens I could for it. So the 18-135 is still a very good lens for sure. It's actually weather sealed too. A lot of people don't know that. The 18-135 is weather sealed. And yeah, it's a great little travel lens. Well, it's not little, but it is a great travel lens. Very versatile. Warren says, John, I agree. It's a fantastic lens. Yep. As well as the 55-200. Absolutely. I own the 55-200 and it is very good. John says, I have a 100-400 and a 10-24. So this 18-135 is a good in the middle. Yeah. So yes, you have a really versatile kit then. You have everywhere from like 10 millimeters almost to like all the way to 400. There's a couple millimeters in between that you don't have, but if you get the 55-200, you're set. Warren says, next lens collection, John. John says, I shoot lacrosse and football for my 10 and 13-year-old grandsons. The 100-400 sometimes is too much. Yeah, I guess that all depends on how close you are to the subjects. My old pal Mark Puckett over at the Photo Video Show YouTube channel, he got that 100-400 lens for the Eclipse, and he still has it. I thought he was going to buy it and then kind of just try to resell it after the eclipse, but he's loving it. I mean, in the eclipse photo he took with it is incredible. So yeah, I have no doubt that lens is awesome. Let's see. Scott Patterson says, good evening. Good evening, Scott. Thank you for joining in. Man, I'm glad to see that so many other people are chilling out in front of their computers on a Saturday night like I am. Makes me not so lonely. I was just sitting here finishing up some work. It's been a crazy week. I think I told you guys in a previous video, I'm in the process of moving, and it's just been crazy stressful trying to get stuff done in my office and then have to, like, at a moment's notice, make everything clean and perfect and get all the mess out of the way for a showing. And thank God we sold this house today. So it went under contract today, and this current house I'm sitting in, it closes next month, and then we'll be in our new house. Our new house is almost done being built, so hopefully the closings will line up at a good time. And yeah, it's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy couple of months, really. My video schedule's been kind of all over the place. That's why this last week I tried to release like a video every single week or every single day. Warren says, mint nice lens collect. Maybe I should put the beer down. Oh, so that's why the typing issues are happening. You got a beer in your hand. Aha. We found the culprit. Hey, it's a Saturday night. You don't have to put it down, man. It's Saturday. We're just hanging out. You can do what you want. Scott says, got the D850 to go with my XT2. Love both. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the 850 is incredible. I mean, it is a fantastic camera. The main reason I haven't gotten it is because I already own a D810. If I did not own a D810 and I owned like a D610 or a 750, I'd get the 850. I mean, no questions asked. I'd get the 850 and I'd be good. Let's see. Chad says, what's up, Eric? Sorry I'm late to the party. What's up, Chad? How you doing? Cool. I got a few regulars on here and some new folks. This is, by the way, anyone that hasn't been here before, this is Peter's first time. He's from Iceland, and I'm enjoying talking to him. He's a Sony shooter, and I need to go to Iceland one day, and I'll try to meet you while I'm down there, Peter, because that's one of my dream places. Like Iceland and New Zealand are like my dream places to go, and I will get there soon. Let's see. Chad says, you get to choose one person from history. I like your questions, Chad. Alive or dead, to do an environmental portrait shoot for 1 hour. Who do you choose to photograph and why? So that's an easy one. My favorite historical figure ever is Benjamin Franklin. I have just about every book on Benjamin Franklin pretty much ever written. I have all of his autobiographies just to see how different people interpret his life. Benjamin Franklin is my all-time favorite. I'm a big fan of reading into I'm a big fan of older American history, but if I could do a photo shoot with Benjamin Franklin, I would freak out. I would like get excited like a little kid on Christmas Day. If you go one step further into that, I've always been real interested in kind of old school, like old world history, like government conspiracy and the way the government was run back then. And I don't know, that kind of stuff intrigues me. So yeah, I would probably say Benjamin Franklin. Oh, and there's another good book I got called, let's see, what's it called? It's over there. Let's see. I think it's called, I don't know. Let's see. It's just called the Templars by Pierce Paul Reed. It's the if you're familiar with like the Templar Knights and the Freemasons, there's a whole book where this guy interprets Benjamin Franklin's life. You know, because it's been told that he was a Freemason, and so that's a really good book if you want to. It's a whole other story. If you're not interested in that, it's fine, but it's a really good book. I love books on old world history, especially Benjamin Franklin. Absolute favorite person of history. So. Yeah, if I could do a photo shoot with Benjamin Franklin, man, I'd be speechless. Chad says, nice, I never see anyone with the same name as me. Oh yeah, Chad Sifford and Chad, not sure how to pronounce your last name. I'm bad at this. I'm not even going to try. But yeah, we got 2 Chads in the live chat. Let's see. Hike Solo says, my XE3 hopefully arrives in 5-ish days. Trying to decide if I carry 1 prime or if it should be the 23 f2 or 35 f2. That's an easy one. If you do street photography and you do kind of like wider, bigger shots on street photography, and you like groups of people, or maybe including some architecture and a bit of the street in there, I would say 23 f2, hands down. If you like doing street portraits and more intimate street work, get the 35 f2, because it's pretty much like your 50mm lens. It kind of depends on what style. Or they're both so light, they're both like this big. So just get both of them and throw the other one in your bag. They're just, I mean, you almost don't even know you have it in there. You could throw it in like a vest pocket. I mean, they're literally like that big. They're both the 23 f2, 35 f2, and the 50 f2. They're all super small and weather sealed. Let's see. Chad says, the Assassin's Creed series has forever ruined me for the Templars. I've been programmed to get angry at the sight of the name. I've never played the Assassin's Creed stuff. My brother's a big gamer with Assassin's Creed. I was a big Xbox gamer, like old school, like Xbox and Xbox 360. I played Halo, the Halo games, like Halo 2, Halo 3. I was big into those. But I just haven't had time to game in a while, sadly. I got a PS4 a couple of years ago and started playing like the Shadow of Mordor game, and I played Destiny, and those were fun, but I never did play Assassin's Creed. Chad says, check the question 4 rows up. Chad says, did you abandon the Instagram critique show? No, I did not abandon it. I have just been lazy. There's been no excuse. Well, it's not really even laziness. It's really just I've been getting a lot of ideas for other videos, and I've just been putting those out, and I haven't been doing the Instagram critique. So I need to do another one of those, and I promise you I'll do one soon. I'll for sure do one next week. I promise you that. I get so many random video ideas will pop into my head, and I'm not good. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that's like, okay, I'll write that down for next week. I'll just drop everything and go record it, and then I'll try to upload it immediately. And that's just the way my mind works. So, I will do another Instagram critique soon. So thank you for getting on my butt about that. Stay on my butt about it if I don't do it. See, Hike Solo says, I was also thinking to get the 23 f2 and the 50 f2. Yeah, if you got the 50 f2, that's perfect for street portraits, like closer up headshots, because that's kind of like closer to like an 85 when you're talking about 35mm equivalent. So any of the f2 primes are going to be awesome. Honestly, it's just whatever fits your shooting style. I would say this: if you're a street photographer, like mainly, I would say for sure get a 23 f2. I mean, just you're going to want to have that in your bag, and then from there decide if you want the 35 or the 50. That's what I would say, because you're going to want the 23. So a street photographer's got to have a 23, which is basically like a 35. By the way, while we're having a dull moment here, if you guys have emailed me in the past like couple weeks or a month or so, I have so many emails. Let me get my phone and show you. I have like an unreal amount of emails. I don't know if you guys can even see this. Let me turn my phone brightness down so you can see this, so you know I'm not just playing games with you. So if you can see my emails down there, it says 10,000 emails, okay? 10,000 emails. Now, not all of those are you guys, of course, but a big chunk, probably 1,000. I get tons of emails, and I can't always respond to all of them. I would love to. I really, really would, but I can't always respond to all of them. So if you guys have not already followed me on social media, head on over to my Facebook or my Instagram or my Twitter, and I always respond faster by just direct messaging me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Those are the three places I use most, and if you send me a direct message, you're pretty much guaranteed to get a message back within 24 hours, 48 hours, sometimes instantly, because it's just easier. I have all those apps on my phone. I don't have to like click reply and scroll down an email thread to see which one I need to reply to. I can just hop on the direct messenger, reply, hit enter, and I'm good. So if you guys ever have any questions or anything, email is still, you can still email me, of course, but it will take a little while to get through those. So you can always reach me faster on social media. So just keep that in mind. If you ever do have questions, I do try to make myself very readily available for questions. Just please try to filter them through social media so that I can keep my email inbox down, because it's hard to sort through everything. Andrew says, let's see. Hey, Eric, sorry I'm late to the party. Had a question about L brackets for the XT2. Do they come with a universal mount for tripods? Yeah, so this is the Kirk Photo L bracket, okay, for the XT2. I just did a video on this a couple days ago. And most L brackets, like if not all of them, like 99% of them, are what's called Arca Swiss compatible. And so if you get a tripod ball head that says it's Arca Swiss compatible, which is most ball heads, honestly, then you're good. You just get an L bracket and you're Arca Swiss compatible, and it'll just slide right in. The tripod heads that aren't Arca Swiss compatible are the ones that come a lot of times like the proprietary with its own tripod head that kind of like clicks or snaps in. Those are the tripods that typically do that. And the brand names that do that, Manfrotto has a lot of those that are like proprietary tripod heads that snap in. Sunpack is another brand name of tripod that does a lot of proprietary heads. But if you just make sure that your L bracket and your tripod are Arca Swiss compatible, you're all good to go. That's all you got to worry about. Let's see. I think I missed one up here. Warren says, I'm getting used to the X100F for street stuff. It's a killer camera. Yeah, the X100F is a really, really nice camera. That was one I really contemplated buying, actually. And I don't do a lot of street stuff, but it just looked really enticing as just a travel camera. But I'm still looking at the Sony RX100 series, the RX100 Mark V. I'm just looking at it to see, just to see. I don't know. I kind of sort of want it for vlogging stuff, because you can vlog 5-minute clips in 4K, so that would be nice. But again, with like I told you guys at the beginning of the stream, the firmware updates, the autofocus tracking on the XT2 in video is just very impressive now. Very, very impressive. And then we have a new set of firmware updates coming in November, I think, or sometime, whenever they said they were going to be released, sometime this year. And that's going to give another bump in speed to the AF tracking. And I think they said it was going to be something like 5 times. What did they say? Twice as fast or something, or 5 times as fast? I don't remember what they said. I think it was twice as fast. But even that, imagine this. Imagine the XT2's autofocus tracking, or autofocus in general, twice as fast as it is now. That's nuts. That's probably going to be better than the D850. I mean, it's just crazy. And they're doing this through a free firmware update. That's why you got to love Fujifilm. It's just fantastic that they do stuff like this. Let's see. Andrew says, great, thanks. I was looking at a Manfrotto for when I get my XT2. Maybe I'll look for something comparable. Manfrotto has Arca Swiss ball heads too. You just got to find the right one. The tripod I use is a Feisel tripod. Let me see if I can find the link for you. I love it. I use a Feisel tripod with a Acratech ball head, and it is absolutely fantastic. I love it. Trying to find the link for you so you can take a look at it. Let's see. I believe it's this one right here. And with the holidays coming up, keep in mind a lot of this stuff is going to go on sale too. So if you guys are looking at purchasing Fuji stuff, keep an eye on the online prices, because they should be having their holiday sale sometime soon. So here is Andrew. Here's the tripod that I use, and I'll see if I can show you the head as well. Acratech. I think it's this one, maybe. Let's see. Here we go. So that's the tripod, and that is the ball head. So if you're interested, that's my kit, my personal kit. I love it. I absolutely love it. I've had no problems with it, and I've beat it up a considerable amount of times. It's fallen in water. It's tumbled down rocks. It's been covered in mud, Georgia clay, sand, salt water. It's been through a lot, and it's been perfectly fine. Chad says, recently got a D750 and noticed it has low ISO settings. Do you have any experience with using non-native low ISOs? I feel like it's not worth using. The only time that that you can use it is if you're just simply trying to get that perfect exposure by trying to crank f22 or f32 depending on the lens, and getting your your ISO as low as possible just to get to lag the shutter a little bit to get a longer exposure. That's the only time. I don't think it's worth it to go into the digital ISOs that aren't native. It's just you just don't get as good as good of results. You're not using the native post gain from the sensor that you're getting from ISO. So I would say typically no, but it depends on if you're trying, if it's going to help you get the shot and it's the only way you can get the shot, then of course do it, because getting the shot is the most important part. But I normally never go past the ISO 200 on the Fuji, and then I pretty much never go past the ISO 64 on the D810, which 64 is the native on the D810, which is part of why I love the D810 so much. And I was hoping on the D850 they were going to do a native ISO 32, which would be killer, because that would have probably helped the dynamic range exceed even more than the D810. But it's ISO 64 is still awesome to have native, and then the native on the XT2 here is 200. So yeah, I would just shoot native if you want to get the best out of your dynamic range and the best shadow recovery. That being said, I've never done extensive scientific testing side by side, so I might do that in a video coming up. Warren says, I got the Arca Swiss Manfrotto plate adapter on Amazon. It's designed to take the standard Manfrotto plate and Arca Swiss. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. See, so they make adapters. That is very smart. All right, guys. Well, it's almost 10:25 here where I am. I'm gonna get off here in just a couple of minutes. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me for like 45 minutes on a Saturday night. It's just the fact that some of you were watching at 2:40 a.m. and Justin earlier was watching in the middle of an exam. It's awesome that you guys are just hang out with me like that. So shoot in your last minute questions, and I will gladly answer them. And then I'm gonna get off and go spend some more time with the family in the other room. And, of course, do some packing, because we have to be out of this house in the next 30 days. And then I get to move to the mountains, which I'm super, super excited about. Finally get away from the city and move into the mountains. So I'll be closer to where I go shoot all the time. I'll only be about only about half an hour from the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, which is awesome. Let's see here. Warren says, still looking for a flash for the X100F. A lot of folks like the Fuji one, the small one. Yeah, if you're looking for the X100F, look at one of the Nissan flashes too. I think it's the i40 maybe. I have the i60A. The i40 is smaller, and that might be a good option for your X100F. A lot of people like the Nissan stuff. It's actually really good. Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you guys always, seriously, for showing up and just participating in the live chats and hanging out and talking photography stuff. It's always super fun. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out. I hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next one.